Hey guys, welcome to Kayvan. Today bringing a video for the Journey of the Notepads as we continue towards the August 12th release of the Exodus trailer, or the short film that will be released here on August 12th on YouTube for the Battlefield page. So this Journey of the Notepads is leading up to that, telling the story leading up to that Exodus film, giving us the backstory as to how we get to the present time that is Battlefield 2042. Multiplayer and Exodus will fill in the last bit of gaps from this entire Journey of the Notepad. So last time we picked up with part 4 of the third faction, and now we look at part 5, Pineapple Express, and then we're also going to look at part 6, which is titled The Only Way Home. So both of these take place in the orbital map, which is in the French Guiana Island, as well as the breakaway map, which is in Queen Maud Land, Antarctica. So first off, for the orbital map, this being part 5 for the Pineapple Express. So I'm just going to go through this very high level. I'll link the link down below for the Battlefield website so you guys can check this out yourself. It's a pretty cool interactive map that they have here that you're able to just click through, and they have some really cool screenshots. So I'm just going to go through, kind of summarize what's going on in part 5 and 6 and show off some screenshots. We're going to talk about the maps, really, is kind of what I want to focus on here. So looking at part 5, the Pineapple Express, really what's going on here is basically the Notepads are transporting quote-unquote pineapples for the Russians, and they're transporting this to what I believe is supposed to be the orbital map in the French Guiana Island. So the backstory on this island, this launch site that we saw briefly in the trailer, as well as apparently that's what the leaked trailer was supposed to be about this map, being that this is kind of when Cape Canaveral came to floods, so the U.S. could not launch any more satellites. So we had the blackout of, I believe it was 2040, the blackout, and a lot of the satellites, or at least 90% of the satellites, came out of the sky, and that cause is still unknown. So for military purposes, U.S. and Russia both want to get satellites back into the sky, and for the United States, Cape Canaveral, Florida, has succumbed to flooding at this point in time due to the rising waters and all the natural disasters that are going on. So they're looking for alternative launch sites, that being the French Guiana Islands or the map Orbital. So this is supposed to be a U.S. launch site, and the Russians are basically know that this is going to be a U.S. launch site, and they're trying to prevent the United States from getting satellites back into orbit before them. So they basically sabotage this and put out hits on to attack Americans, etc. And so that's where we see some screenshots here of the orbital map where the rocket launch site is destroyed. And the caption for this is that the Kremlin denies any involvement in the sabotage of the closed EU launch site in Kora, which is in the French Guiana Island. So it's basically, you can see here, it shows the launch site destroyed. They deny all involvement in that. However, it's obvious that Russia, according to the story also, that Russia is behind that because they want to delay the United States from getting satellites into orbit before them. So again, the cause for the blackout is completely unknown, so I'm assuming this is where Hazard Zone is going to tie in, which we'll get into here probably later in the week after we see the Exodus film, because I'm sure they'll kind of bring us up to speed on anything with that. But at this point, basically, we see the Americans ambush as soon as the Notepads arrive in port here in the French Guiana Islands, shipping their pineapples. Now, they ship pineapples for the Russians, they make it clear here. However, the pineapples and the crates made a clank sound. So what these end up being is basically what I believe are surface-to-air missiles. So there's pineapples in the crate. However, behind the pineapples in these shipping containers is just a bunch of SAM missiles, or SAM launchers. So at this point, they're sworn by American troops. The Americans come in, attack, obviously because the Notepads are transporting this for Russia. And there are some Russian ground forces here, so there's basically a big outbreak and fighting going on here. And at this point, our storyteller, or the reporter, or investigative journalist, Kayvan Bechir, is hit with a bullet, and luckily, they black out at that point, but luckily, the Notepad medic, Maria Folk, is able to patch her up, and that's where we end part 5. And then we go to part 6, which is going to take place again at the breakaway multiplayer map in Antarctica. This is supposedly, or it is confirmed to be, the largest Battlefield map ever to date. So this one, and we get some good screenshots of this map. So this takes place in Antarctica, Queen Maud Land, and the story behind this is actually really interesting. So for part 6 here, if you guys want to read this in the link below, The Only Way Home. So just to summarize here, the Kayvan Bechir wakes up fixed up, all patched up. This is a few months later, so this is in August 14th, 2042. And what happens is they wake up, patched up by Maria Folk, the specialist, and they end up at the Russian gas station at the end of the world, quote unquote, right? And this is the oil rig in Antarctica. So we get a screenshot here showing additional parts of the map here, which we've really only seen little snippets of this map, and you can see kind of the scale. This is, again, just artwork. It's not real renders of the map, but you can see or get an idea of what the scale's going to be for this. And there's a whole oil rig out in the water, as well as a facility in Queen Marland, Antarctica here, controlled by the Russians. And this is where our NOPAT team kind of sets up base for the meantime. And at this point, the Russians raised the oil price, so Russia's kind of been controlling and selling oil to the NOPATs. They've been the main supplier of the NOPATs' oil supply for years now. And at this point, when the NOPATs arrived in Antarctica, Queen Maud Land, the Russians decided they're going to jack up the price, again, to take advantage of the need for oil. So at that point, Oz, the leader of the NOPAT militia, or the whole group as a whole, says that they're not going to pay. And this is where basically it's kind of like a hostage situation where the Russians aren't being hostile towards them, but they jacked the price so high that the NOPATs can now not really leave. Now, we are introduced to a new operator, or a new specialist, I should say, in this part of the story, but again, we don't really have any information on them, so it's not really worth going into too much detail on this operator or the specialist. There's really no information as to what their specialist ability would be. I'm sure we'll see more of this here later this month, but again, you can read that in the story itself. And so at this point, the NOPATs are being held hostage essentially with the oil prices, and at this point now the Americans, or they believe what it is, an American ship starts coming in because they're after the Russians. And it also indicates that Russian and American tensions have been very high for a long time now, obviously with everything going on that we've seen in the journey of the NOPAT. And what they believe is an American ship comes streaming in, starts firing shots, and it ends up being Kayvan Bechir notices that it's actually running a NOPAT's flag. So this is a NOPAT ship, the MFS-04 Exodus, which is heavily armed. This is basically the main battleship for the NOPAT military, or the army faction, heavily armed, that Oz sent in personally to extract the NOPAT personnel who are kind of stuck here in Antarctica. And so NOPATs get on this boat, they're able to be exfilled, and again, we see some more information about the Queen Marland. There's some good screenshots here, and again, some information about the operator, the new specialist, I should say. But it kind of ends off where I'll read this last little bit here in case you don't go ahead and read it. But the race to become among the refugees boarding, I race to become among the refugees boarding the ship designated MFS-04 Exodus, with Engel's words, and Engel being that new specialist, echoing in my ear. There is a fight coming and I want nothing to do with it, yet here I am on this warship. Perhaps Oz is right, war is the only way home. And that's how we end with part 6. Next, or tomorrow, picking up with part 7 being rerouted, and that's obviously going to take place in the last multiplayer map for launch, that being the Egypt map. So that'll take place at Renewal, which again takes place in Egypt, and that's our desert slash green lush farmland type map, which is split, and that indicates back to how Hourglass tried to combat the desert like Egypt did, but Egypt was able to do it. So that's where we'll end off, and then we're going to pick up with part 7, or I guess I should say the Exodus film, part 8, being released on the 12th of August. So let me know down below what you guys think. Again, we get some really good shots of the maps here. Specifically, I wanted to focus on the Queen Maud Land in Antarctica. So this map, we see some really good shots here. Just showing the scale. This, again, the largest battlefield map to date. The scale, I'm really hoping you can get out into the water, too. We have that oil facility. We have a lot of what looks like CQC-type combat, building-to-building engagements here in part of the map. We have pipelines, things like that, and then obviously going up into the mountains. So we have some really good screenshots of this map. You can see it's on fire. It reminds me a lot of Operation Firestorm from Battlefield 3. So this should be a really, really good map. Again, the scale of this, we don't really understand the scale yet because we haven't really seen the whole map, but it appears to be very, very large, and obviously DICE has indicated it is the biggest map in Battlefield history. So this map should be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to getting into this and playing the beta next month. Let me know down below what you guys think. Again, we'll cover the part 7 tomorrow, as well as the Exodus film here on the 12th, which is going to be Thursday, which is actually going to launch the same day as Call of Duty Season 5, which, coincidence? I think not, but I'm much more interested in the Exodus short film than I am Call of Duty Cold War Season 5. Let me know down below what you guys think. Till next time, this is Buffering Gaming.